A young woman named Amasaki Nenah launches her very first stream. She expresses gratitude to the small audience that has gathered to watch her debut. The comments from her viewers are mixed. Some offer encouragement and compliment her voice, while others rudely remark that the world of online entertainment is too crowded. Nenah's mood lifts when a user named Aosan sends a small gift. She is genuinely surprised and touched by the random support, especially from someone who seems to have just stumbled upon her stream. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to a convenience store where a clerk named Miyagi becomes the subject of neighborhood gossip. Nearby, customers whisper about the unfortunate 27-year-old. Once a highly paid programmer, he lost everything, his job and his fiancée, and now works part-time. Miyagi, who can hear their cruel whispers, feels a deep sense of irritation and sadness over people's inability to leave him alone. The woman who left Miyagi after 4 years had been his senior at work. When the news spread, he constantly felt mocked by his co-workers. Overwhelmed and unable to cope, he quit his job on his doctor's advice. Sinking into depression, he spent his days isolated, surrounded by garbage. His life remains in disarray until the day he meets her. At present, the store manager excitedly shows Miyagi a new lottery featuring virtual streamer merchandise. Miyagi notices the prize ticket for a limited edition character strap. As his shift ends, he gets permission to join the draw before leaving. The manager asks Miyagi if the girl on the merchandise is someone he likes. He quietly denies it, saying he does not know her well. Yet, in his thoughts, he admits that the person he truly admires is Amasaki Nenah. Nenah is a virtual streamer who began her online activities earlier this year. Her natural and lively broadcasts have gained wide attention, steadily increasing her following across social media. For Miyagi, watching her streams has become a source of comfort and strength, helping him recover enough to hold a part-time job once again. After finishing his shift, he walks home, holding a keychain featuring a girl's character. He recalls how he kept drawing lottery tickets until he finally won one with Nenah's image, even though he had already spent most of his monthly budget. Despite his financial situation, he still has to cover the rent, so he decides to delay paying the water bill. On his way back, he passes a park and notices a girl sitting alone on a bench, someone he has seen there before. He wonders who she might be, perhaps a student skipping school or someone who left home. Avoiding eye contact to prevent misunderstanding, he quickly looks away, aware of how easily such moments can be misjudged. As he walks away, a voice calls out, asking him to stop. He turns to see the same girl from the park holding out his dropped keychain. She steps closer, saying he left it behind. Surprised, he stares confused, and she hesitates, wondering if she's mistaken. Realizing how awkward it looks, and feeling uneasy that she might have noticed him earlier, he quickly admits it's his. He thanks her and hurriedly leaves. When Miyagi reaches his apartment, he realizes his keys are missing. He decides to contact the property management company, only to remember that his phone battery is dead. Just then, he hears someone call out from behind. It is the same girl from the park, inquiring if he needs help. The two of them sit on a nearby bench, and Miyagi borrows her phone to call the manager. After explaining the situation, he is told to wait nearby until someone arrives. He ends the call, returns the phone, and thanks her for her help. She replies casually, and as he prepares to leave, she stops him and suggests he stay to talk until the staff member comes, calling it a small favor in return for using her phone. Miyagi agrees and sits back down beside her. He asks if she has been around the area often and whether she has run away from home. She admits she argued with her parents and has been staying out since, spending time in places like internet cafes and karaoke rooms, though she finds them noisy at night. She then changes the topic, steering the conversation toward him instead. The girl asks Miyagi if he likes virtual streamers, mentioning that the keychain he carries is from a newly released lottery series. She observes that he seems like someone interested in anime and similar things. Caught off guard, he hesitates and responds uncertainly, saying he has not watched much anime. When she questions his answer, he admits he knows little about virtual streamers, except for the one on the keychain he owns. As he looks at the small figure attached to it, his thoughts drift toward Nenah. To him, she is unlike anyone else, someone different from the rest. Miyagi shares that he once dated a senior colleague he deeply admired and tried to better himself for. But she betrayed him for a superior, and soon after, rumors spread that he had been unfaithful. Despite his denials, no one believed him. The judgment and shame broke him, and his work and life slowly fell apart because of that single event. Realizing he said too much, he apologizes for bringing up something unpleasant. The girl reassures him that it is fine, and he feels unexpectedly at ease talking to her. He continues, explaining that during that difficult time, he happened to watch Nenah's stream. Seeing her remain positive and hardworking despite the negative comments around her gave him strength. Because of her, he managed to recover enough to start working part-time again. He reflects that any other streamer might have inspired him the same way, but Nenah feels different to him. She holds a special place in his heart. Miyagi admits he still struggles to connect with people and considers himself withdrawn, but he hopes someday to be more open and cheerful, like Nenah. He works at a convenience store now, yet he dreams of regaining the confidence to return to his previous career and do his best once more. After listening to Miyagi, the girl firmly tells him that he is capable of achieving what he hopes for. He quietly agrees, though he expresses doubt about himself, saying that someone like him must seem unpleasant. He apologizes and admits that he has always thought of streaming as something done just for fun, not something meaningful enough to help someone like him. The girl shakes her head and explains that streaming is not merely entertainment. She tells him that while some streamers treat it lightly, others approach it as serious work. Many put effort into shaping their characters to stand apart from others, constantly thinking about how to make their broadcasts enjoyable for viewers. She says they do it because they truly care about it, and that for those who take it seriously, calling it mere play is unfair. Before Miyagi can respond, the property manager arrives. Miyagi thanks the girl for her help and apologizes, saying the person he was waiting for has come. The manager hands him a duplicate key and advises him to be more careful in the future. As Miyagi returns home, he recalls that the girl sounded slightly upset during their earlier conversation. Stepping inside his apartment, he finds the walls covered with posters of Nenah. Looking around, he reflects that he has never been good at speaking with real girls. Exhausted, he lies on his bed surrounded by Nenah's posters, telling himself he wouldn't feel this way if she were with him. In his mind, he hears her gentle praise and recalls how her replies to his comments during streams once felt safe and harmless. Hugging a poster for comfort, he drifts off, his body stiff, murmuring that he must have fallen asleep awkwardly. Late at night, Miyagi returns with groceries in hand, his thoughts drifting back to the girl he met earlier. He wonders what might have happened to her and assumes she would not still be in the park at such an hour. However, when he passes by, he notices her sitting there again. Unsure of what to do, he debates whether to approach her and thank her for helping him earlier. Then he hesitates, remembering how she seemed upset at the end of their last conversation. Before he can decide, he realizes she is not alone. Another person stands nearby, and from their body language, it seems as if they are arguing. Not wanting to interfere, Miyagi considers leaving quietly and pretending he has not seen anything. Just then, the girl notices him and calls out loudly, claiming he has finally arrived. Confused, Miyagi wonders if she is talking to him. She then turns to the boy beside her and announces that Miyagi is her boyfriend before quickly trying to walk away. The boy grabs her shoulder, insisting there is no way that is true. He refuses to let her leave and tells her to come with him instead. The girl protests, struggling to free herself as he claims he only wants to help because she has nowhere else to go. She angrily reminds him that she can handle things on her own, but he ignores her words and keeps pressuring her. As their voices grow tense, Miyagi stands nearby, watching the situation unfold. As he begins to walk away, doubt fills his mind. He questions whether leaving like this is the right thing to do, realizing it would only be another act of avoiding what he dislikes, something he has done too often before. He remembers how the girl listened to him earlier, how she spoke with understanding, and how she encouraged him with sincerity. Her words echo in his thoughts, the ones where she said it would be wonderful to smile openly in front of others someday, just like Nenah, and how she had assured him that he could achieve it. Remembering this, Miyagi turns back toward the park, unable to ignore what is happening. Approaching the two, he speaks up, pointing out that the girl clearly appears uncomfortable with the boy's behavior. The boy immediately denies it, insisting that she is fine. Miyagi firmly responds that it is obvious she does not want this, confronting the situation head-on. The boy, irritated, pushes Miyagi hard and storms away. He falls to the ground, dazed, but relieved that the argument is over. Though he managed to drive the boy off, he feels weak and foolish about how it ended. The girl rushes to his side and asks if he is all right. She shares that the boy had suddenly approached her and started talking for no reason. Feeling guilty, she apologizes for dragging him into it. Miyagi shakes his head, saying he is the one who should be sorry and that he might have made her uncomfortable earlier. She looks surprised, asking what he means, and assures him that nothing like that happened. Still feeling responsible, Miyagi offers to make it up to her somehow. The girl quickly suggests that she could stay at his place for a while, explaining that she is afraid the boy might return. Then she immediately retracts the idea, flustered and embarrassed by her own suggestion. Miyagi pauses, realizing her reaction, and silently wonders if she had only been joking before. After a moment, she softens her tone and tells him she is genuinely grateful that he was nearby. She claims she was in trouble and afraid because the area was dark and quiet. Seeing him there had made her feel relieved, as she thought no one would come to help. She thanks him sincerely for finding her when she needed it most. It is late at night, and the moon shines brightly across the quiet park. The girl stands before Miyagi, her figure illuminated by the pale light. As he looks at her, a realization begins to form in his mind. At that moment, he had no idea what was happening to his own heart. He wonders why he never noticed it before, that, in reality, he would fall in love with her. Still in disbelief, he looks at her closely and recognizes her identity, finally realizing that the girl standing before him is Amasaki Nenah. She looks at him calmly and questions why he would think such a thing. For a moment, he becomes flustered, realizing how strange his own words sound. He tells himself that he can't meet the real person behind Nenah in a place like this. Still, he tries to explain himself, saying that it might be because of her voice, the way she speaks, or perhaps the atmosphere she gives off. The girl lowers her tone and admits that he figured it out easily, adding that she will be more cautious from now on. Surprised, Miyagi wonders if he really guessed correctly. He finds it strange that she would admit it so directly, thinking that people in her position would usually be more careful about revealing their identity. She tells him that she must have ruined the image he had built of her and apologizes for it. He looks at her, unsure, and wonders if she isn't going to deny it. The girl then asks him not to tell anyone about what he discovered, reminding him that he is a fan and hoping that he will understand. Miyagi quickly assures her that he will keep it to himself. Hearing that, she sits across from him with visible relief, expressing her gratitude that he promised to keep her secret. She tells him that what happened today will stay only between the two of them, asking him to make a promise. Miyagi looks at her, uncertain, and thinks that what she is doing now feels exactly like something Nenah would do. She then lifts her hand and makes a small gesture, saying that now she can leave with peace of mind. Miyagi, still confused, asks if she has somewhere to go since she ran away from home. She answers that she wouldn't be here if she did, and adds that she will somehow handle things on her own. Before leaving, she asks him to join another one of her streams sometime. After she walks away, Miyagi remains sitting there, watching her disappear. A quiet thought crosses his mind as he tries to take in what just happened, realizing that he might have truly met the person behind Nenah. He calls out to her from behind and hesitates before speaking. He tells her that it might be dangerous outside since it is already late and offers to let her stay at his place for the night if she is comfortable with it. When she steps into his apartment, she looks around and notices the many posters and pictures of Nenah covering the walls. Seeing them, she quietly thinks that he truly admires Nenah. Miyagi then hands her a sheet of paper with his name and contact number written on it, telling her to reach out if anything happens and to use anything in the apartment if she needs it. He adds that she can simply leave the door unlocked when she leaves. She looks at him and asks if he is heading somewhere. He replies that he plans to stay at a nearby internet cafe, thinking she would rest more easily if he isn't around. She tries to tell him that he doesn't need to leave since it is his home, but he insists that it is fine. He says goodbye and mentions that he will return before noon. After he leaves, the girl lies down on his bed and stares at the ceiling. She quietly wonders if his name is read as Aoba Miyagi and thinks to herself that Ao-san is truly a kind person. At the cafe, Miyagi sits alone, lost in thought. He reflects on how he got carried away and ended up asking her to stay at his place. A bit of unease settles in as he wonders if he made the right decision. He tells himself that since they are not staying there together, it should be fine. Still, the thought bothers him. He realizes that he only offered after discovering who she really was, and it makes him question how his actions might appear. He thinks back to the situation earlier, remembering the kind of people who might have been around that area. Leaving her alone could have been risky, and under those circumstances, he felt he had no other choice but to let her stay. Even so, he feels it might have been better if he had never asked about her identity in the first place. Despite everything, he admits to himself that Nenah still holds a special place in his heart. He decides that after she leaves the next day, he will try to move on from the encounter. He reminds himself that he never wished to meet the real person behind Nenah and tells himself to forget that their meeting ever happened. The next morning, he returns home. Standing outside the door, he thinks that she must have already left by now. As he reaches for the handle, he notices that the door is locked, which surprises him. When he unlocks it and steps inside, he sees her in the kitchen preparing food. She turns toward him and greets him casually. Confused, he asks why she is still there, reminding her that the arrangement was only for one night. She explains that she didn't feel right leaving so suddenly after what he had done for her. Miyagi tries to respond but hesitates, unsure what to say. Before he can continue, she adds that she has nowhere else to go anyway. He stands there, uncertain about what to think. Then she finishes setting the food on plates and tells him that they should eat together. Miyagi looks at the food in front of him and asks what it is. She tells him that she made it by frying instant noodles together with rice. She then looks around and asks if there is a table in the apartment. He apologizes and replies that there isn't one. As they begin eating, Miyagi wonders what the combination will taste like. The flavor turns out to be different from what he expected, but surprisingly good. She checks if he likes it, and he replies that it tastes nice, which makes her smile. While eating, Miyagi drifts into thought. He realizes it has been a long time since he last shared a meal with someone, and the feeling quietly makes him happy. He also reflects on how long it has been since anyone greeted him when he came home. Breaking his thoughts, she speaks again and mentions that there is something she wanted to say about their earlier conversation. She hesitates, then asks if he would let her stay at his place for a while. Miyagi looks at her, startled by her sudden request. He looks at her in surprise and asks what she just called him. She explains that Ao-san is short for Aoba-san and asks if he minds. Relieved, he thinks to himself that she hasn't discovered his online username. His attention shifts to the laptop on the table, and he asks whose computer it is. She tells him it's hers, and that she spent the night trying to edit her last live stream into short clips. She adds that she isn't very skilled with computers and ended up losing her progress. She wonders aloud if she should stop working on the next video for now. Listening to her, Miyagi is surprised and takes the laptop from her, offering to help. She agrees, and he asks if it's all right to look through her files. After she gives permission, he examines the data and tells her that he can probably restore the lost stream. She watches as he works and is astonished when the video appears again. She points out where she wants the thumbnail placed, and he adds it for her, asking if that's how she wanted it arranged. They continue adjusting the video together, discussing the details as they work. She asks if he can fix certain parts, and he replies that it would be easier to edit properly on a desktop computer. Noticing another issue, he mentions that the audio in a different clip is misaligned, but he can fix it as well. As she watches him work with ease, Nenah silently wonders if he might actually be someone with impressive skills. Curious, she inquires if he used to have a job related to this kind of work. Miyagi explains that while video editing isn't his main area, he used to handle programming tasks at his previous company. She nods and asks if he knows much about such things, and he replies that he is probably more knowledgeable than most people. Nenah takes out some money and places it in front of Miyagi, telling him that it is payment for the video editing. She insists on paying and adds that she would like him to handle more work for her. After a short pause, she tells him that she wants to hire him. He looks at her, unsure, and says that while it isn't impossible, he wonders why she would want to hire him personally when her agency could easily handle editing tasks. She explains that her situation is complicated already, and that asking someone else would be risky. Since he already knows her real identity, she asks him to help manage her streams. She also mentions that there is something else she wants to request. Before he can respond, she continues. She says that if money is his concern, she can pay him properly. Then, after hesitating for a moment, she asks if he would allow her to stay at his place for a short time. She promises to pay her share of the rent and utilities, explaining that she is in a difficult position and won't be able to continue streaming if things remain the same. Miyagi listens quietly and says he will respond to her requests one by one. He tells her that he doesn't mind helping with her streams if she is fine with it, but he cannot accept the money. He explains that it is most likely income or donations from her broadcasts, and that, as one of her fans, it doesn't feel right to take it since he isn't part of her official team. As a supporter of Nenah, he decides to return it. She calmly tells him that the money didn't come from donations. She discloses that the money she offered is her regular salary from the agency, separate from the funds given by her viewers. She clarifies that it isn't just about handing him money, but about formally requesting his help and paying him for his work. She adds that if he refuses, she has no one else she can rely on, emphasizing that it is payment meant for the sake of her streams. Miyagi listens and eventually agrees, admitting that what she says makes sense. However, he brings up her second request and firmly says that letting her stay is not possible. Nenah turns toward him, frustrated, and asks why it isn't allowed when he already let her stay the previous night. He replies that it was different because they weren't staying together, insisting again that living together simply wouldn't work. She tries to convince him, saying it would only be for a short time. When he doesn't respond, she leans closer and asks him to think of it as helping Nenah. Hearing that, Miyagi pauses. He remembers how he was once helped by Nenah's presence through her streams. Realizing that he now has the chance to return that support, he finally agrees. Nenah looks surprised when Miyagi agrees, but he adds that there is one condition. He tells her that since she left home after an argument with her parents, they should work toward resolving that issue. If she is willing, he will listen to her situation and try to help. He also makes it clear that if she shows no intention of fixing things, she will have to leave. She lowers her gaze and quietly agrees. She thanks him for understanding and says that she had been in a difficult situation. She adds that she should return to school as well, and Miyagi nods, telling her that it would be best for her to continue her studies. Nenah then mentions that her uniform has been in her bag the whole time and has become wrinkled. When Miyagi hears the word uniform, he looks at her curiously. She takes it out to show him. Seeing it, he is stunned to realize that it is a regular high school uniform. He asks if she is still a student, and she confirms it without hesitation. Miyagi freezes, realizing what that means. He insists that a high school student can't live in his home. Panicking, he says that it would make him look like a criminal and quickly tells her to forget everything he just said. Nenah, however, calmly points out that she already stayed the previous night, so it's too late to change anything. He tries to defend himself, saying that he wasn't home at the time, but she replies that it still counts since she stayed. She adds that if she were taken into custody after being forced to leave, she might have to explain where she stayed, which could make things difficult for him. With that, she looks at him and requests in a sweet tone if he will let her stay, calling him Ao-san. Nenah asks Miyagi if she can continue staying with him. He hesitates for a moment before eventually agreeing. During their conversation, she mentions his long hair and wonders if it ever gets in the way. She offers to cut it for him, explaining that she has trimmed her own bangs before. Though uncertain, he lets the topic go. Later, Miyagi visits a salon to have his hair properly cut. Afterward, he thanks the barber for the effort and stares at his reflection, puzzled about how things ended up like this. Nenah soon arrives and asks if he's finished. She compliments the new haircut and apologizes for not being the one to do it. Telling him it looks nice, she insists they should head out together. When he asks where, she explains that since she'll be staying at his place, she needs to pick up a few essentials and a change of clothes. As they walk, Miyagi trails quietly behind her. She glances back and wonders why he's keeping his distance. He replies that walking too close might seem inappropriate. Nenah laughs, teasing him for being overly cautious. Walking far behind makes him look suspicious, she points out, while standing beside her would seem more natural. He insists it might still look strange, but she casually remarks that if they were closer, or even holding hands, it would be fine. Before he can respond, a voice calls out from behind. A police officer approaches and asks for a moment. Miyagi stiffens, thinking something serious has happened. The officer holds out a small teddy bear keychain he found on the ground and asks if it is theirs. Nenah recognizes it immediately, thanks him, and accepts it with a smile. The officer nods, saying it's no problem, and walks away. When he's gone, she tells Miyagi that everything turned out fine and urges him to keep moving. Lost in thought, he realizes that since yesterday, she's swept him into situations he never imagined himself in. He's been doing things far outside his comfort zone, yet somehow it doesn't feel bad. He inquires if there's anything else she needs to buy. She pauses, thinking, but before she can answer, another voice calls from behind, startling him again. It's just a boy selling newspapers. Nenah stops to chat with him, while Miyagi drifts back into his thoughts. Everything about the day feels unusual. It's the first time he's spent time like this in ages. Ever since leaving his job, he's rarely gone out. When he does, the world feels exhausting, and being around people drains him. The only thing that still brings him comfort is watching Nenah's streams. Everything else seems dull in comparison. As he walks ahead, he silently wonders what kind of influence she's had on him. Nenah calls out for him to wait, and he quickly insists that their situation isn't what others might assume. She smiles softly and apologizes for any trouble she's caused. He assures her it's fine, and she thanks him, saying that spending the day together has been unexpectedly fun. He admits he's also glad she brought him along. A moment later, Nenah mentions that he doesn't have a desk at home and is curious if she can buy one. He reminds her that she still needs a futon. She replies that she can make do with his since there's only one set anyway. When she casually suggests sharing it, he freezes, unsure how to respond. Nearby, a young man catches sight of them and murmurs the name Shiraishi under his breath as he watches. Nenah begins her live stream after a long break, greeting her viewers warmly and explaining that her computer has been giving her trouble. That is why she couldn't stream for a while. She mentions that it still isn't fixed, and that she is currently using her laptop instead, knowing the quality may not be as good. She admits she had planned to wait until getting a new computer before streaming again, but she missed her audience too much to stay away any longer. Meanwhile, Miyagi sits alone in the park, watching Nenah's stream on his phone. His eyes well up with tears as he stares at the screen, quietly whispering his feelings to himself. During the stream, she tells her viewers that she plans to end earlier than usual because the laptop keeps causing problems. She jokes lightly about the situation and talks about using a human computer, even though she is supposedly from a higher realm, mentioning that it is written on her official profile. In the end, she accepts that there's nothing she can do about it for now and promises to update everyone about her next stream. As the broadcast draws to a close, she says her final words and ends the session. As soon as the stream ends, Miyagi returns home. Nenah greets him at the door and apologizes for making him leave during the broadcast. She mentions that streaming on her laptop is proving too difficult. He responds calmly, saying that if his presence or voice ever causes trouble during her live stream, he would never be able to forgive himself. Nenah laughs lightly at his serious tone, finding it amusing. He then asks about her streaming schedule and whether she is managing it properly. She shares that she told her manager her computer is having technical problems, so she will need to stream less for a while. She adds that she couldn't possibly admit she has run away from home. Before changing the subject, she recalls that someone named Ao-san appeared in the chat earlier and asks if that had been him. Miyagi quietly thinks to himself that he made his usual donation during the stream. Trying to appear casual, he mentions that his online name is the same, though it could just be a coincidence that someone else with that name was also there. Nenah shakes her head and insists it was definitely him, stating that the user called Ao-san has been commenting since her very first stream. She recalls that earlier that day, the same person donated and left a message saying he was happy to see her live again. He wrote that he couldn't feel alive without her streams, and even joked that the computer must have broken because of her cuteness. Feeling embarrassed, he admits that it was indeed him and asks for her forgiveness. Nenah laughs softly, puzzled, and asks what he wants forgiveness for. He lowers his head and says it is for everything. She looks at him with surprise, realizing he really is the same Ao-san from her streams, and remarks how unbelievable it feels, almost like fate. Miyagi looks at her and questions what she means by fate. He points out that it isn't common to meet a viewer like this in real life. Nenah insists it feels destined, almost annoyingly so. She reflects on how, when they first met, she had easily revealed her identity as Nenah. She admits she has been wondering ever since if that was the right choice. She says she has been thinking about how her fans might feel and whether she should have kept it a secret. Miyagi responds that it's too late to change that now and apologizes, saying she only told him because he asked. Nenah gently tells him that he doesn't need to apologize. He explains that he was just surprised at first and that even knowing who she really is doesn't change anything for him. To him, Nenah is still the same person and remains special, regardless of what is behind the screen. She looks at him thoughtfully and calls his name before asking if he is in love. Miyagi admits that he likes Nenah, but clarifies that he is talking about the virtual version of her, not in a romantic or personal sense. He says Nenah simply holds a special place for him and that thinking about being with her in real life would be unreasonable. Nenah pauses for a moment and then asks another question. She wonders if he would feel bothered if Nenah ever had a boyfriend. Miyagi hesitates, trying to understand her point, and asks if she means the real person behind the character. When she confirms, he replies that he wouldn't mind. It is a personal matter, and people deserve privacy, though he knows not all fans would feel the same way. He adds that this is why he believes she should keep such things hidden from her viewers, but he quickly clarifies that it is only his opinion. Nenah smiles slightly and says she already expected that answer. She then changes the subject and asks if he has someone in his life like that. Flustered, Miyagi reminds her that it was only an example. She realizes her mistake and apologizes quietly. The next day at school, Nenah sits quietly in class, lost in her thoughts. She feels uneasy, realizing she has no one to talk to. Although the class recently changed, she hadn't attended before, and now she struggles to connect with anyone. She wonders why speaking comes so easily to her during live streams, but feels impossible here. After a while, she walks to the window and stands alone. Two girls approach from behind and call her name. For a moment, she feels a rush of surprise and happiness, realizing someone is trying to talk to her. Encouraged, she turns to face them. A light tap on her shoulder confirms it. She spins around, ready to respond, but they immediately confront her, demanding to know her connection to Yaotome. Nenah explains that they have known each other for a long time and refers to him by the familiar name Mei-kun. The two girls react with stunned surprise, repeating the informal name. They are shocked that she calls him by his given name. Just then, Yaotome appears in the classroom and approaches the group. When he speaks, the girls who were talking to Nenah quickly excuse themselves and leave. Once they're gone, he turns his attention to Nenah and starts a conversation, lightly remarking that she still doesn't have any friends. Nenah replies that he might be the reason. Curious, he asks what she means. She explains that he attracts all the girls' attention. Though unsure what she's getting at, he brushes it off and tells her it's fine since she has him anyway. He then asks why she hasn't been coming to school, mentioning that he tried to message her but never got a reply. Nenah says she hasn't been home lately because she's been busy. Concerned, he asks if she's okay. She assures him that she's staying with someone she knows and that there's nothing to worry about. As they talk, Yaotomi recalls seeing her shopping near the station the previous week and asks if it was her. Nenah thinks for a moment and says it might have been. He then mentions that she seemed to be with a man at the time. She quickly denies it, saying he must be mistaken and that she was alone. Yaotome calmly insists that he is certain it was her with someone that day. Meanwhile, at Miyagi's house, several parcels have arrived and are stacked near the entrance. He looks at them in confusion, unsure what to do with so many deliveries. As he stares at the boxes, he recalls Nenah asking if she could order a few things and have them sent to his address. He hadn't expected this many packages. Curious, he opens one and finds computer equipment. Looking through the rest, he realizes they are all related to streaming and assumes they must be for Nenah's broadcasts. After checking the last parcel, he notices there are quite a few and begins to wonder if she plans to stay longer. He starts thinking it might be time to ask why she left home in the first place. Just then, he hears a knock at the door. Nenah arrives, and Miyagi greets her as she walks in. She quickly says she has something important to discuss with him. Before he can respond, she insists that it cannot wait and that she is in a hurry. Before she can continue, a voice calls her name from behind. Hearing it, she freezes and slowly turns toward the sound. Recognizing the voice, she hesitates, unsure how to react. Yatome steps forward, confirming that it is indeed her. He then turns to Miyagi, realizing he is the same person he had seen with her earlier. Confused, he demands to know what is happening between them. Caught off guard, Nenah mutters something under her breath.
Here I am, know it's been